Pak Gufron, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. So I'm quite surprised that the number of people sitting in this room is so many. But I feel very successful because none of you wearing mask. So you must have a very strong confidence, to live healthy in Indonesia, and hopefully you have all the confidence to live wealthy in Indonesia very soon. So let me start to share with you why Pak Jokowi believe healthcare is one of the most important sector in his presidency. Can I get my presentation on the screen, but not on this one? So next slide. Next. Indonesia GDP per capita now is around 4,700. World Bank, we have the IFC person here, categorize Indonesia as an upper middle income country. Every countries in the world, every nation in the world aspire to become high income country. The difference between middle income and higher income is the line at 12,500 US dollar per capita. So every country, every nation is willing to jump from the middle income band or group to high income country. And historically, every nations have one single window with the biggest opportunity to jump to high income country. That is during the demographic bonus. Why? Because during demographic bonus, you have the most number of people at the productive age between 15 to 60 that can produce income, that can produce salary. So when you reach the peak of this number of populations in productive age, you have the biggest momentum, you have the biggest fuel, to move from middle income to higher income. And Indonesia, that will happen starting 2030. 2030 is where Indonesia population will reach the peak, the demographic bonus, which is around 68% of our population will be productive, or more, around 200 million. After that, the percentage will declining because people getting older like me. I will be 60 next year, non-productive, according to WHO standard. But I do hope I'm still healthy. Yeah, I'm still healthy. But that is happening with many other countries. So if we miss this opportunity, so between 2030 and give and take 5 years, 2035, if Indonesia as a country, as a nation, fail to bring our GDP per capita level crossing the 12,500 mark, then forever our country, our people will live as a middle income country. So we make a sin, terrible sin to our children, the children of our children, that they will never be able to live like in the United States or like in Japan, but they will live forever in a middle income country. So that is what is called, the economists call it, a middle income trap. So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, my first advice, especially for the Indonesian here, pick the right leaders next year. Why? Because he will be the one, that will make or break. He will be the one that will make or break crossing this 12,500 level. If not, then forever our children will stay at the middle income country level. Now, what should any leaders do? So this is the speech that I give also to all candidates, because I'm a not political person. I'm here as professionals. I give an advice. What should you do? You should do two things right. Number one is education. Number two is health. Because impossible, if Indonesian people are stupid, then their income will be 12,500 per year. If they are stupid, if we put ugly politician running Ministry of Education, then our children will be stupid. And their annual income will never exceed 5,000 US dollar per annum. And forever will be in middle income trap. So why Ministry of Health is important? Because if the Ministry of Health is not good, then our babies will have stunting. 20% now. 20% of the 25 million below 5 is 5 million, average every year. Stunting means that your IQ is 20% lower than normal. So then you'll not be able to be a doctor and earn more than 12,500 per capita. You will end up as a driver or like a housemaid, and your income may be also only 5,000 or 6,000 US dollar per capita. And that will drag down the overall output of the Indonesian economy, and you will never be able to cross and become high-income country. Or even if you are smart, like all my friend Andy, but then got stroke, you cannot work. Or got heart attack, you cannot work. Become unproductive. So that's why my advice to all of you, because I will retire next year, pick the right minister for Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education. That is my second advice. Because otherwise you never. So that's why health is very, very important. And I will tell you what we plan to do to make sure that our people are healthy. The next slide. That is the first fact. The second fact that I would like to share with you, investors. This is from my perspective. I'm a banker for 30 years, becoming a health minister only for 2.5 years. So I approach everything from a money perspective. I approach health sector with a economic or money perspective. This is what I see. This is a sector which is unsustainable. Because why? Because for the last 20 years, the growth of health costs per capita always bigger than the growth of GDP per capita for every country except India. What does it mean? If you don't have a bachelor degree in economics, as long as you have wife, you will understand what I said. If you have a wife, and your wife is asking to you, hey husband, give me budget allocation increase 10% every year. But wife, my salary always increase 5% per year. Oh, that happens anyway in health sector globally. So you should be able to do it, right? So this is what I call unsustainable. So however big the gap is, you understand in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, either you end up of a divorce or you have to do something, corruptions or whatever it is, to make sure that the growth of the expenditure can be covered by the growth of the income. It is ugly. But you know what? For investor, this is the right opportunity to disrupt. So if there is any imbalance, that is where the startup is eyeing, hey, this is where I can disrupt. So that opens up an opportunity for you. Because many countries, will have health minister that realize, like me, and they will try to do something. And if you come with a solution, they will take your solutions to help them address this issue. The third fact, next slide, that you investors need to understand. Because it is so intransparent, this sector, then the relationship between investment and outcome is very chaotic. I give you an example. I'm asking many people, why you spend money for health expenditure? Of course, minister, everybody knows I want to be healthy. That's why I spend money. Why you want to be healthy? Because I want to live long. Nobody wants to spend money and live short. Even if you promise to me that I love God, but we always let our friend to see God first, not us, right? Because we want to live long. Okay, then use that as an output. Let's start with the country, I'm sorry to my friend that coming from the United States, country that is very advanced in healthcare services technology, United States. What is your outcome? 80 years average life. How much do you spend per capita? 11,000 US dollar. Okay, then I'm Google. Is there any country in the world that the outcome is 80 years old, average life? You can Google and you can find there is a country in the US continent called Cuba. Cuba has an outcome of 80 years average life and the per capita spend 1,900. So when I talk to my friends from United States, Becerra, Javier Becerra, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, United States, hey, actually I'm a US citizen and I want to live longer. I will live in Cuba because I only spend 2,000 every year instead of living in the United States, 11,000 every year, and we die the same day, you know. So I can enjoy my money more. But of course, I would like to have US income, you know, but I want to have the Cuba expenses. Oh, Budi, you are very unfair. You cannot, you cannot comparing a totally different democratic system of country. Fine, okay, fine. Then let's see, similar country, Japan, 84 years old, 4,300. Is there any country better than Japan? Yes. South Korea, 83.9, very similar, 3,600. Is there any country better than Korea? Yes, close to us. Singapore, 84 years old Japan, they spend 2,800 per capita per year. You're talking about multiples. It is like talking about startup. You're not talking in percentage like in banking industry like me. You're talking about multiples. You know, US 5 times, you know, 3 times. That means that it is very intransparent. Yes, we understand when I see what is the difference between Cuba and United States. What is the difference between Singapore, South Korea, and Japan? The difference is, this country with a very low expenditure per capita, they very focused on promotive and preventive. They are not focused on curative intervention. They are focused on how to make people healthy, not to cure sick people. They adhere to SDG 3, Sustainable Development 3 standard, to promote healthy life and well-being for all people and all ages. I couldn't find any word saying that in Sustainable Development Goal target to cure sick people. There's none. And they are adhering to the Ministry of Health. Because my name, Budi Sadikin, Ministry of Health of Indonesia, not Budi Sadikin, Ministry of Sickness of the Republic of Indonesia. Because my job is to keep people healthy, not to cure sick people. So what are the opportunities for you? Indonesia is 72. Malaysia is 76. So in the next 5 years, people getting older, Indonesian like me, healthy, hopefully. And in the next 5 years, we go to Malaysia level. Logically, if our health system is as efficient as Malaysia, which is, I have to admit, we are not, the Malaysian health minister is better than me, then the spending per capita of this old, aging Indonesian population will increase from 120 to 437. 300 US dollar difference in the next 5 years. You multiply by 280 million, if my calculator is right, 84 billion US dollar opportunity. I talked to Ibu Simulani, 84 billion potential expenses, and BPJS will bankrupt. So you need to put money for BPJS. But for you investor, I thought 84 billion opportunity. You split into 3, hospitals, doctors, pharmaceutical industry. If we go to Singapore level in the next 15 years, 2,700 different, you multiply by 280 million, if I made calculation correctly, 700 billion upside opportunity. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, invest in health and pick the country right, which is Indonesia, because the upside is high. Now, next slide. Then, next slide. So then, if you have to invest in Indonesia, why should I invest in Indonesia? Yes, the opportunity is there. But you know, what happens if the government don't support this environment, this demand? And you know, right? I'm a banker, so you have money. Health is always priority number 1. I talk to I have seen many of my clients in banking system invest, you know, shrewdly for their wealth. But as I've seen, many of them invest poorly in their health. So they invest shrewdly in the wealth, but invest very poorly in the health. Why? Because they sometimes they forget that health is the most important wealth. Of course, if you talk to anyone in this world, hey, I will give you $1 billion opportunity, but you die tomorrow. I'll give you only 10 million, but you will live for another 20 years. It's very clear. Whoever the person is, whether it's American or Chinese or Indian, they will choose option number 2. So in terms of priority, health is always at the top. So that's why I said, you pick the health sector. It is always the priority number 1 for every human being in the country. Instead of travel, you invest in Traveloka, invest on spending money, invest in Shopee or Tokopedia, you invest in health, right? Priority number 1. Yeah, so you just to make sure that you don't pick your sector wrongly. Yeah? Now, know what the government is doing. I was asked by the president to do three things in my period. So I became minister only 3 years and 9 months. So as an ex-CEO of the largest bank in the country, I said, Pak Jokowi, what is my job in 3 years, 9 months? We have to do 3 things. 1, just execute the vaccination. Don't ask any question, just jabs all the Indonesian people. Now we have 450 million jabs to 205 million Indonesian people in 18 months, which is not bad. And then number 2, you control the pandemic, so our economy is recovered again, and we have done it. The last one is, you just do a biggest ever reform in the country. I said, why me? Oh, and why we have to do a biggest ever reform? Because I hate the situations in the healthcare sector. And I think Indonesia always have, every crisis, Indonesia proved successfully did a very major reform. In 1998, we did a very major reform, political system, financial system, economic system, because of crisis. So use this opportunity for you to reform. And because you don't have any skeleton in your closet, you can do it. And you have experience before, although in the finance sector. You understand which policy we did right and which policies we did wrong. So at least you would have that experience. So just repeat that. So in the last 12 months, I started in August last year, July last year, we did the reform. This is what we want to do. And I want to give briefly where the opportunity is, because this is the directions of the government. You understand the market is big. Healthcare sector is good. Indonesia is a great country. But you have to understand where the government are going, right? To make sure that your investment is going into the right directions. Number 1 reform, which is closest to my heart, we will transform the primary care, the promotive and preventive. What does it mean transform? We revitalize the 300,000 posyandu at the hamlet level, 85,000 pustu at the village level, 10,000 puskesmas at the district level, and 514 cities. So we will revamp our healthcare network down, not only from cities, 514, which is what we are having now at district, 10,000, but we'll push it down. Village level, 85,000, and hamlet level at 300,000. We will digitalize everything. And then number 3, we will increase the healthcare coverage. Before it's only focusing on babies and pregnant mothers, to babies, pregnant mothers, children, adult, married people, elderlies. So that is basically what we want to do. And all of them are promotive and preventive. We will do massive screening. So if you want to invest in company that do screening, then we will screen our people for tuberculosis, for cholesterol level, for blood glucose, hypertension, everything. We will do screening to prevent people from getting sick. And we will digitalize everything. I just came back from Seattle because first, during COVID, I got the deal, the best deal with Will Catcher from WhatsApp. Because WhatsApp gives us a free facility to use WhatsApp for our communication during COVID. I failed to do it with Google because I want to get free geotagging services. All vaccination, 205 million, I want to do geotagging services. So I understand exactly which houses. I failed to meet with the right people. And I met the right people, the Google Health president. When she finally gave me, before they only give us 100,000. We have 270 million, only give me 100,000 every year. You give me joking me. We are not as rich as the American, we are poor. So you have to give me a discount. So now they give us 27, 28 million every year. So everything you do screening, then you can geotagging, and we understand, oh, this Sumatra Barat people eat a lot of santan, that's cholesterol is high. In Java, Yogyakarta, they'll eat a lot of sugar, then the glucose is very high. In Nusa Tenggara, they are very poor, they cannot eat, they have a nutritional problem. So we can easily understand and do a proper intervention to this one. And it is geotagging, you can see on the Google map. So I talked to the Google man, why you are very proud when you can show malls, restaurant, barber shop, hotels when you open Google Map? I think it will be more, valuable if you can see hypertension, diabetes level, vaccination status, everywhere, right? And I'm a banker, I know, the multiples of your stock now is more and more depend on ESG factor, right? This is the S1 and the G1. So because you contribute back to the society, so your multiple will be higher. And you can talk everywhere to United Nations General Assembly, say, hey, Google is helping the poor Indonesian country, about geotagging all the healthcare data service, contributing back to the people. And then your multiples of your PE will increase, because of that story. So that is what we want to do on this one. On the second reform in the hospital, we will already get a loan from World Bank, ADB, AIIB, ISDB, 4 billion. I'm a banker, so I can raise that fund very, very quickly. So 3 months, I got it. So that's why a lot of, Philips, Siemens, GE are here, because they know, this guy now have 4 billion he wants to spend. He wants to spend. Because I want to equip 514 hospitals with critical, medical devices to save life. Indonesia, number 1 killer are stroke. Number 2 is heart disease. Number 3 is cancer. And I talk to people, if you have stroke and heart attack, what should you do? You should have a device called a cath lab. Philips, Siemens, GE has it. So when you get stroke, but you have to get to the place in less than 4 hours, ideally. After 4 hours, the fatality rate increased drastically. After 12 hours, almost you will die. So then I'm asking, okay, 4 hours mean if somebody got heart attack in Sukabumi, I cannot bring it to Bandung, which is why you're asking this, Minister? Because I want to know where I should put the devices. At the provinces level or a city level? I have to put in the city because we need 4 hours. Okay, we have 514 cities. How many doesn't have? Minister, you asked the wrong questions. How many do have? How many for 514? 34. Oh, okay. Even if we have 34 provinces, only 28 provinces have this device. The provinces that don't have the device at that time last year was Bangka Belitung, Sulawesi Barat, North Maluku, Papua, and West Papua. Oh, Ambon don't have the device. Yeah, they don't have. So what happened if my friends got heart attack in Ambon? Oh, you can pray. What do you mean you can pray? You can pray that we bring this guy to Makassar, to almost 1.5 flight, or Manado to our flight, and he still live. Because we don't have the device. I said, scratching my head, what have you done, my friend? We have anniversary 77 years. What have you done? Pak Gufran French doctors are very good in doing, technical things, but when they are doing planning, and that is not the strong point. Then they realize we don't have enough. And I can give you many examples, babies, for example. We have 4.8 million babies born every year. For comparison, if you live in Singapore population is around 5.2 million. So we are delivering babies similar to one Singapore every year. And our fatality rate, child mortality, is top 10 in the world. The worst, not the best, but the worst. I said, why? Oh, because they have problem in delivery, or we cannot understand really the position of the babies. Oh, we have ultrasound. Yeah, you can do ultrasound. Where the deliveries is done? Mostly at the 10,000 puskesmas. Okay. How many puskesmas have ultrasound? The answer surprised me in last August, 2,200, 22%. So then I said, oh, if you are an Indonesian pregnant mothers, and when you are delivering, before you delivering your babies, you will receive an ultrasound, you are a top elite 22% of the populations. Because 80% of the pregnant mothers in Indonesia deliver their babies without ultrasound. We can pray to God. Then we pray. Indonesia pray a lot, but without ultrasound. So that's why the mortality is high. So that's why we buy ultrasound, 514 cities. So that is what we are doing. Yeah? The same thing happened for breast cancer, mammography, LINAC for cancer therapy, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, everything. But that is part of the 4 billion. But it's good for you. You have the opportunity, and your company is like Siemens, GE, and Philips. Yeah? Because suddenly we have massive. But of course, then we use World Bank to buy international procurement to get a very deep discount. Because we want to buy a big amount of fund. But it's also good for you because of what? Because then a lot of data will coming in. Because this machine have a digital format that I will share with you later on. The number 3 is for the pharmaceutical companies, we would like to bring it in Indonesia, the manufacturing capability, the vaccine, medical devices, and also the medicine. Because before, during crisis, we really need to import those drugs. And everybody have a lockdown. So we have problem in delivering healthcare service to our people. Number 4 is Pak Gufron, healthcare financing. So I want to make sure that we have enough money to serve. And we will do an advanced analytical here. Because now I have many source of money and spending, but I don't understand what happened in between. It's like a black box. I have the government money, regional government money, private sector money, philanthropy money, the multinational institution money, and individual money. And they spend the money in the hospital, they spend money in the pharmacies, they spend the money in Malaysia, they spend the money in Singapore. And I don't understand what is in the middle. So I cannot compare whether it's efficient or not, it's the best way or not. People complaining to me, Budi, you have to make sure that your people don't get treated in Malaysia because of an outflow. I said, yes, that is the problem of Minister of Finance, but not the problem with me. Why? Oh, I love to have the Minister of Health of Malaysia working for me. What do you mean? No, my job is to provide access and quality healthcare services to my people. Cheap. Don't forget cheap, my man. So good quality, easy access, and cheap. And if the Indonesian can get that in Malaysia better in Indonesia, why should that be a problem for me? I should be very grateful because the Malaysian health minister is working for me, servicing 2 million or 3 million of my people with a cheaper and better quality of healthcare services than the Indonesian. So he is working for me. Even I can put 1 million in Singapore, 5 million in Thailand, they work for me, I'm fine. Even if they can pay, if it is paid by the Malaysian, I'm even more happy. If it is paid by the Malaysian, not even by me. So that is a perspective that I would like to understand on this context about the flow of money. Because in healthcare sector, as a banker, that is what I would like to understand. Money flow, working capital, inventory. We understand that one. In here, it's like a black box. You don't understand where it's going. So that's why the inefficiency is very high. You can have a simple operation, appendicitis, and pay 100 US in a small puskesmas. You go to the hospital, 500 US, 5 times different. Go to private sector hospital, 1,000 US. So 10 times multiples. So the gaps is not percentage, but multiples. Because why? Because it's not efficient. And that is the opportunity for you to disrupt. Because then you will arbitrage. In finance, if that happens, that will not stay for long. Because people will arbitrage. Here, the arbitrage is not there because the information is not transparent. That is your opportunity. Healthcare, human resources, we lack of doctors. That's why we open up for foreign doctors to come in, education also coming in. We change the education not only university-based but also hospital-based to make sure that you will have enough doctors when you open up. I think I talked too long. And the most important one that I would like to talk to you is number 6, reform in healthcare technology. biotechnology and information technology. I will go quickly after this. Next slide. Next slide. We are lucky during COVID, we have the application downloaded 105 million. Before it's 105 million active, but now it's 62 million active. Peduli Lindungi, difficult to spell. Now we changed to Satu Sehat, easier to spell, pronounce. So before it's only for COVID vaccinations and also testing. But we will increase it to citizen health apps. Platform actually, not apps. So you can create your own apps on top of it and make money out of it. But we standardize the platform. What's in it, we standardize the data format, ICD-9, ICD-10 gitu ya, the data connectivity standard, FHIR HL7, if I call it. It's a global standard, and data security standard. ISO 277. Why I want to do it? Because I want to replicate what we have done in banking sector. Banking sector, if you have a credit card issued in Indonesia, you go to Gujarat G20 meeting, you go to restaurant, you swipe your card. Get the proof, the payment is done, you don't realize that the information is going from Gujarat restaurant devices to New York office of MasterCard and then going back to your bank in Jakarta, get access to your account, check the limit, whether it's available or not, approve it, and going back the other way around. But it's very, very smooth. That can happen because in financial, global finance, data format is standard, data connectivity is standard, data security is standard. That's not happening in health. That's why it's very inefficient. This is what we want to do. Next slide. We issued the regulation last year that by the end of this year, all 3,100 hospitals, 10,000 puskesmas, 15,000 primary clinics, about 12,000 pharmacists, 6,000 labs, you have to follow those three standards. And we changed the law, so those data will be in the government database with an opt-out clause. So it's not like in US. The default is out. You want to get in, you sign the paper to get in. Here, the default is in. Privacy issues, you want to get out? Yes, you sign the paper. Then you get out. So like example, I have tuberculosis, 1 million estimate. Usually we do 5-time testing. So you do 5 million x-rays. Then these 5 million x-rays will come into our databases. Standard format, DICOM standard. You can imagine, then you can do a lot of artificial intelligence with data analytics or machine learning with those data. And these are the status of the connectivity. And the one responsible for it is Pak Setiaji. Pak Setiaji, please you set up, because I don't want all these people contact me. Yeah, this guy. He's my chief technology officer. He used to work for Ahok and Pak Jokowi as the CEO of Jakarta Smart City, which is very, very successful. He's a very quiet person as an IT guy, but he's the guy to contact with. I can talk, but I don't really understand what is inside. He is the one that understands what is inside. And what I asked to Setiaji, build the platform. Build the platform, so I will have the second population databases. The first population database is a demographic database, our national identity number, name, address, sex, religion, married couple, children, father. That is the demographic database. With this, we will build the second population database, diabetes, hypertension, chest x-ray, MRI, CT scan. Okay. And I will make the third one. But I stop at the second one first, to give you the illustration. Next slide. I give you an illustration. We have 969 estimation of tuberculosis, the second largest in the world. So we need to screen them. People told me you need at least 5 times, so 5 million screening for tuberculosis. And using x-rays. And x-ray is not used for tuberculosis only. Now with the pollution, what is very popular is pneumonia. Increase in pneumonia is infection in your lung because of the populations. Pollutions, because of the pollutions. And you need to do x-rays also. So easily 10 million x-rays every year happen in Indonesia. But before it's not standardized, the data format. The interchangeability is not there. Now it will be standardized. digital DICOM format. Betul ya Mas Jaji, DICOM format. What you can do with this, because it's already in my database. Next slide. This is the best artificial intelligence analytics in the world available for X-ray, currently available. What we are doing now at our National Reference Center for Lung Disease is this one, artificial intelligence. So instead of only 20 analysis, we do 100. And why you can do it in Indonesia, not in Singapore? Because Singapore is so healthy. You don't have the sick people to analyze. In Indonesia, we have so many sick people you can analyze. And I know, I'm a banker, I do understand where the value is. So if you make your company in Singapore, you can see the aggregate number. But if you make your company in Indonesia, I can give you access to a detailed number. I think that's fair, right? I think that's fair. So you open your company here. You open your company. Partner with Indonesian investor. We already established a regulatory sandbox. We are the second industry in the country to open a regulatory sandbox. The first one in finance, when I was as the CEO of the bank. Now, health sector is the second industry that already opened a regulatory sandbox. You can play around whatever you do, but as long as it is in the regulatory sandbox. Next slide. Some experts, you know better than I do. Some of the people, this is a big, company outside, and next slide, some company inside that we encourage. Asaren is not there. My apology. And I think Halodoc just raised another round of funding. Yeah? Should be bigger than that. Should be bigger than that. But this is the company that we encourage to live using this regulatory platform. Yeah? Next slide. Now, the last point that I would like to share with you is the reform in the biotechnology. I'm a physicist, by the way. So physics, my job is to explain physical things scientifically. That's why we call a physicist. So my best thing to share is, why can you explain to me scientifically when every time I see up the color of the sky is blue? Why the color of the sky is not yellow or purple? Then the physicists need to explain scientifically. Or another my favorite topics, because it is being asked by one of the professor from United States when she came. Okay, you're smart, so explain to me scientifically, when you turn on the candles, the shape of the candles, fire is ellipse. It's not rectangle, not square, or not circle. Explain to me scientifically. So that is physicist's job, to explain physical things scientifically. And there is a moment in 1850, when a Nobel Prize winner, a UK scientist called James Dalton, invented the smallest component of physical things called atom. When somebody found the smallest component of physical things, then he can explain everything built upon the knowledge of this smallest component. So all major quantum mechanics, material science, space station technology, nuclear energy, nuclear bomb, are the industrial revolution happens 10 years or 15 years after the invention of this smallest things physically, which is atom. And it changed, humanity forever. The World War II, the atomic bomb, it changed humanity. As a banker, I always like to see pattern. The similar pattern happens in mid-90s, when the AT&T Bell Labs engineer named Claude Shannon invented the smallest component of what you are investing, information, called a binary digits, or people mention about bits. 10 years after that, it led to a major industrial revolution in Boolean algebra, microprocessor technology, computer, hardware, software, Google, Facebook, TikTok, Tokopedia, Gojek, the internet, they change humanity forever. So, my take to you all, if the smallest component of everything is found, 10 years, 15 years after that, there will be a major revolutions, and the one that invests at the right time makes the most money. Now I will share with you my secret. In the mid of 90s, somebody, there, Watson, Crick, Rosalind Franklin, these biotechnologists invented the smallest component of living things called DNA. So you see the pattern. Living things can be animal, plant, or human being. And now the industrial revolution is start moving in. mRNA vaccine, monoclonal antibodies, companies like Regeneron, BioNTech, Moderna, gene therapy, stem cell therapy, there's start growing. And I believe this industry will be very, very big. Because again, if human being has to prioritize between physical things, information technology, or his life, very clear, the priority is very essential. So this will be a very big thing. I don't know whether it will happen during my time. I hope so I can live longer. But definitely it will happen during your time. And don't miss that opportunities. So what we are doing, next slide. And the technology, before impossible information technology is so expensive, the chip price is so expensive, and there is a Moore law, the capacity, the hard disk is so expensive. Now it's become very, very cheap. And that is also what we notice in this technology. Before, like the first human genome project, virus, I learned this from virus. Virus only have 30,000 base pair, DNA pairs. Bacteria like tuberculosis have 4.4 million. Human being has 3 billion. And when the first human genome project started, for one pair, you need $1. So 3 billion, you need 3 billion US for one scan of Budi Sadikin genome. Now it's went down below 200 for 3 billion. So the technology cost is right. So if Singapore or United States or UK pay Illumina 10,000 US for every human being, now I can pay Illumina less than 200 US because I heard somebody is from Illumina here. I can pay complete genome sequence below 200. So the time is better for me because I can spend the same amount of money, but I can cover 100 millions of populations because the price is getting cheaper. And with this, what we can do, next slide. We can make the diagnostic and therapeutics more precise and more personalized for every human being. Yeah? Every human being. The diagnostic, screening, to guess what is really happening to you, and the treatment. Then we have to do this one to you. It will be very, very scientific. Yeah? I'm a nuclear physics engineer. My neighbors is a doctor. I thought doctors, learn scientifically, which is not. They are ngafalin, they are remembering things. They have a lot of books they remember. Oh, the Latin word for this is this, and this. So their job is to remember. It's not really scientific, right? We are doing mathematics, we are doing algebra. They are doing is remember things. But now it became very, very scientific. Yeah, biochemistry, biology, it became very, very scientific. Next slide. Because we understand human being. We just do it. We opened it last year, 17th of August, this initiative, and I'm being complained by many professors that you're doing, you want to kill human being, you want to do this. I don't understand what they're talking about, but anyway, next slide. And we create a center. So I talked to many people. I learned this from one of my friends from Israel. They said, Budi, don't let the scientists do it. Let the clinician do it. Because if it is started with scientists, become a scientific project, the clinician will not, they don't want to use it. Because the only thing that they are the smartest people than the scientists. So that's why you have to do this from the bedside, not from the bench side. So that's why I sent 6 biggest national reference hospital to own this initiative. National Reference Cancer Hospital, brain disease, heart disease, rare disease, to this research, and then going back to the bedside. Next slide. And we are preparing the infrastructure. We will build 20 million biobank capacity, because you need biological samples, either in plasma format or swab format or faces or blood, everything. And we want to do everything robotic. And some of them need to be stored at room temperature, -2, -20, -80, -96 degrees. So these are the ecosystem that we need to build. Second, we need to build a biosequencing capacity, large volume, that can do very, very cheap. Number 3, we need to build the bioinformatics. So the biobank, biosequence, and bioinformatics. Because we are playing with petabyte of data. Because 3 billion pair for one human being. So if you want to identify what is the cause of breast cancer, specific DNA. 10,000 breast cancer patients, and you do 3 billion, and you do permutation combination of these numbers. It's a very large number. So you need a very large computing power and also a great mathematicians and information technology. Next slide. This is what we are doing. As I mentioned to you, 65 million. As a banker, I would like to build something with others people's money. I get used to it, so I'm going to United Nations to see World Bank whether I can use World Bank money to build them. Yeah, they said, I will give you the loan, Budi. Can I get a grant? Or maybe you give 60 million, 30 million in grants, 30 million. We are developing countries, we have a good aspirations, so give us. Next slide. Don't play the movie. Yeah? Next slide. They don't need this. And this is examples of biotech companies. Yeah? So if I'm talking to people, hey, I make money investing in Shopee, Tokopedia, and Gojek. Yeah, I understand. I'm a banker. I help them too. But if you think that you can make multiples only by investing in infotech company, following the West Coast, Californian belt, or you can make multiples also investing in biotech company, in East Coast, in Boston, Massachusetts belt. And because my son studied in Harvard, so I prefer to go to Boston rather than to New York. So it is nice also, but not in winter, but in summer, Boston is nice. Next slide. No, you move backward. Next slide. Next. This is the local companies that we are going. Asaren is here. Yeah. I don't know whether Nusantik is here or Genetic. Pathian is here. I also Pathian is here. So we are encouraging many Indonesian people, to start working on this project. By the way, if you see pharmaceutical industry, I think it's about 1.7 trillion in terms of annual revenue. 10 years ago, is majority coming from chemical-based pharmacy. But now in terms of value, IQVIA is somebody from IQVIA here. In terms of value, more than 50% now is based on biotech or biosimilar products. Next slide. Opportunities, the opportunities, we have a lot of people. Next slide. Yeah, so that is my last chart. So we will do major reform in biotechnology and also healthcare information technology. We will provide the platform, we'll ease the regulations, and we will invite you to come. I think this is my last slide. So next, do you have? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, as a banker for 30 years, when I move to health sector, there is something that I feel different. One of my colleagues is Peter San. Peter San used to be the CEO of Standard Chartered. I met him in G20 meeting in Italy. Because we have a health minister meeting, I sit there and I saw two familiar faces. One is Said Najib. He is the UK health minister. I remember your face. I used to be the bond trader in Deutsche Bank in Singapore. Oh yeah, I remember you. And the other one is this guy, Peter San. He is my fierce competitor because he runs Standard Chartered and pushing aggressively to Indonesian market at the time. So I met Peter San. Budi, you are here. Help me raise the next round of funding Because global fund that Peter runs is a 16 to 18 billion fund that financing gift grants, including Indonesia for tuberculosis, HIV, and malaria. So I did help him to raise the fund. And then Peter, always a great CEO, always understand how to give a great speech. And he said, with this amount of money, we save 50 million lives globally, 50. And then he asked me to stand and give my pitch. I said, wow, you know, me and Peter, each of us have raised more than 1 trillion US easily during our career in banking, 30 years. So it's so big, the money. But we feel so little contribution to humanity. This one, we raise only 16 billion US. For us as a banker, it's so small compared to trillions. My gosh, 50 million lives is so big contribution to humanity. So I said, the biggest wealth is health. So for you all, if you are still looking for money because you are young, remember, one day when you are getting old, start thinking to move into health sector. Thank you.
Let's give a standing ovation to our Minister of Health, Bapak Budi Gunadi Sadikin. Thank you so much, Pak, for the very inspirational speech.
Everybody, let's give a round of applause once again.